on this week's episode of The Chris and Andre Show.
I've actually had this, proper wage conversation in a different organization. I went to the owner of the company and said, hey, I could literally go outside and pick up 5 cents an hour. You want me to give people a 5-cent raise? And the question, or actually the response was, that's a very good question. Two things. Your employees get 2 raises a year, right? If you do the math, and if they are, even slightly above exceptional or good employees, they could earn a 30% increase every year. Your average increase is what? And at the time, it was like 15%, right? Although, granted, I made more money, but that wasn't the point. So that is a fact. It's a hard fact, but it's a fact. I had never had the opportunity to make a 30% raise in any given year. The second thing he brought up to me was like, they can work to get promoted and make more money. And we had a system in place to help them to do that, right? So then my job as the employer was to make that very abundantly clear. And thirdly, the cold hard fact, he goes, and I'll tell you this job was never meant to be a permanent position. This was supposed to be a part-time job. It was never designed to support a family.
But at the same time, they're hiring full-time employees.
That actually, technically, they're not. They're like Amazon, for example. They don't hire full-time. It's kind of like.
But
at the place I was working,
the other place you were talking about, I wasn't going to be specific about it. But
yeah, they weren't full-time employees.
None of them?
Nope. They were never hired as full-time employees.
So they were never hired with the expectation that they would work 40 hours a week.
Right, exactly.
But they did work 40 hours a week.
Close to it.
So they're like, how do you reconcile the two differences there? Because you don't have enough employees. Otherwise the store doesn't have enough employees to be able to not have everybody working almost 40 hours a week, right?
Actually, that's not true either. I could hire people and have well into 90% of the employees working quote unquote part-time hours, never getting close to 40 hours a week. 32 hours at tops, 35 for a few, but everybody else.
But even then, 35 hours a week. Okay, so I got 1 hour off every workday. Then somebody who's working 9 to 5.
35 hours a week but that's my point.
Right, but it's like saying, okay, I'm going to hire you. You're not a full-time employee, but you're going to work 39 and a half hours every week, right? Like, you don't meet the 40. The company, one of the companies. I know, but I'm
not saying it's right. I'm saying that understand that a lot of companies are not structured to say that a majority of our staff is going to be full-time.
But that's where I'm saying, like, then your business model is not success. Like, it's not legitimate. If you can't operate with full-time employees, then your business model essentially sucks and you should fix it. Like, maybe charge a little bit more for your prices so that you can actually pay these people an affordable wage. You're willing to subsidize the prices of other items on the menu, but you won't subsidize the wages of your employees?
That's hear me out. In my mind, like the two things aren't
the same.
They're not the same.
To hear the rest, tune into this week's episode of The Chris and Andre Show.